Oh yeah, we're back.
Oh, the Draft Boyz!
Yes.
Yeah. Welcome to a special bonus episode of the Draft Boyz this week. The games haven't been playing, but the boys are still here. We're over Zoom, and you got Miley G and Hito in the house today coming to you with this special content. How are you doing, Milo?
Yeah, I'm very good. Unfortunately, we're back on Zoom, but you got to do what you got to do these days.
You just got to get the content out there.
That's it, no matter how it sounds. So usually we're in this plush studio, around, in a secret location, but we're on the interwebs today.
Yeah, mate, we would just fucking stitch together voice memos if we had to just get the shit out there,
We would actually, especially with the amount of voice messages we send each other. We could actually do a podcast with that.
Oh my God, it'd be just chaos, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it would be pretty R-rated though. So.
Yeah, a little sexual maybe.
Yeah, so wow, I'm really glad that we're here.
Yeah, mate. Talk me through. You had the idea for this pod today. Give us a bit of a rundown.
Yeah, well, I wanted to get some sort of content out, and we were debating on what type of thing, like a summary of the players that have performed well so far, or just do something FPL related. And then I thought, let's just throw it out to the fans. So you probably saw on the socials, we asked for your questions, and we ended up just getting flooded with a bunch of cool questions. And I thought, why don't we just make this a fan podcast and we'll just answer all the questions?
100%. Love it.
So I know I've sent you a few over the last couple of days, just to get your head around a couple of them.
Yeah, prepped me a little bit.
I wanted you to get some stats, because you're our resident stat.
Yeah. Exactly. And you got to throw a few unknown ones my way as well.
Yeah, there'll be a couple of questions that I just haven't shown you yet. So yeah, let's just get stuck into it.
Let's do it, mate. Let's do it. Fire them at me.
All right. Well, all right. So the first question comes from Viren. Viren, like long time.
Viren. Yep.
Well, actually, he's not long time fan, but he's a new dedicated fan. And he just wanted to know what our thoughts were with the Premier League cancelling their games last weekend. He was a bit disappointed that, he was thinking that the Queen would probably like, the minute of silence and the atmosphere that it would have created. But what do you reckon? How did you feel last weekend?
Mate, I was pissed.
Yeah.
I was pissed. Sorry to our UK viewers out there. I don't really give a shit about the Queen. I want football. I want my football.
Well, I am a bit of a monarchist. Like, I do like the royals. Okay, I like the Queen. Okay,
yeah,
I'm
like Queenie.
Actually, yeah. I think she was so cute, and, rest in peace, and such an amazing life that she lived. And I do agree with Viren as well. But I do think that we will get that minute of silence, and the atmosphere will be pretty pumping this weekend when games get back on. And I was disappointed, but I understand that, the life that she lives probably, dignified a weekend off footy.
Yeah, I agree too. The only thing that I heard that was a good point was that they're going to do like the armbands and probably the minute silence like next week anyway.
Yeah.
So it's like you just delayed it for no reason, but it is what it is. It was the decision that it was. Just the fixture congestion is going to be cooked more so than ever.
I know. Watch out for those double game weeks that will be coming like pretty soon, eh?
Yeah.
Well, maybe sooner than usually.
Yeah. Well, at least we had Champions League games overnight. Liverpool finally got a win under their belts, which was nice.
They did, and Matip owners would be pretty excited with that goal that he scored.
Yeah, Salah owners too, mate.
Salah owners. I didn't want to bring it up being one myself. I'm not like Whitey. I don't like to toot my own drum.
Bang your horn.
Yeah. Oh, horn. Yeah. Sorry. I have been drinking.
I love that.
Of course.
I love that. Yeah. But yeah, I think that's fair enough. Like very mixed feelings from Viren, and us as well, mate. So
yeah,
it is what it is. There's not much we can do. At least hopefully it's only 1 week. Unfortunately, a few games are postponed this weekend because of policing, I think.
Yeah, I heard that too.
We're going to miss out on the Chelsea-Liverpool game.
I know. But I'm borderline a bit excited that Potter has a bit more time to prepare for that game because it's a massive fixture, and for that to be his first game, it would be quite difficult. So
that would have been spicy, man. Like the fact that we're not looking amazing. You've got a new manager. Like, who knows what would have happened?
I know it could be like 4-3 either way.
Yeah, it could have been just crazy. Who knows? But we'll have to wait and see.
All right, so I want to move on. We got a question from Stub Snaps. He's first question he's actually sent us, so it was pretty cool to hear from him. And he wants to know, who's the greatest Australian football player ever?
Yeah, it's a good question. That's one that you prepped me for because I needed to have a little look at some stuff and just remind myself of who we've had over the years.
I know. It was a bit like that when I saw that. I had some flashbacks of a couple of World Cups and just seeing a couple of players in the Premier League. But I'm interested to know your thoughts on this.
Yeah, well, how about I throw out a couple? Like, I found a article online that gave the top 10. So this will at least just give some names out there for us to talk about. To be honest, there's a couple there I don't know because I'm probably not old enough.
Okay.
But Tony Vidmar, don't know who he is.
Yeah.
Maybe he was like in that 06 World Cup campaign, maybe.
I think he was a little bit earlier than that.
Bit earlier?
Yeah. But yeah.
He's on this list.
Well.
And then we got Johnny Warren, who's an older boy. I know the name, but I don't know a lot about him, to be honest, from back in the day. And then we get into kind of our era a bit more. We've got Lucas Neal, played for Everton. I think he played for Blackburn. He got a few Premier League minutes. Mark Bresciano, kind of defensive midfielder.
He was such a tank, and he actually had really good ball movement as well.
He did. He was a good player on the ball, bit of a creative, kind of deep lying midfielder. Got Brett Emerton as well. Jedinak, who was at Palace.
Here we go. We're starting to get into it.
Yeah, Schwarzer, good old OG keeper.
Oh, yeah.
Timmy Cahill.
Wow.
Mark Viduka and Harry Kuehl, the sexy Harry Kuehl.
Wow.
I think it's a pretty good shortlist, really.
It's pretty good. I'd say that there could be a couple of names, like what about Bozza,
Oh, Bozza.
Mark Bosnich.
Coked up Bozza.
Yeah, he's had some days, hasn't he?
Goalkeeper. He played a little bit for Man United, but had a bit of a partying background.
Yes.
He's now on all our Optus Sport coverage and stuff like that.
I've actually spoken to him.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so I used to do a little bit of work in the media and stuff, and this one
night out in the toilets. Is that what you meant?
Nah. I wasn't lucky enough to nah, just jokes. But I was just working, and I had to get a bit of a summary of the game for him for one of the newspapers that I was at. And I had to give him a call like 5 minutes before the game was over and just get his player ratings.
Yeah.
And, it was pretty funny.
That's so good, mate. Well, from that list, is there anyone that really stands out to you as our all-time?
Mate, I've literally got one answer for this all day of the week. Mark Schwarzer. I think that he's just such a legend of Australian football. He still is doing, football for Optus Sport and in the Premier League. He's just such a great resource, and his playing career just speaks for itself. And for him to end up at Chelsea, which is, as the viewers know, listeners, that's my team. And it was just so awesome.
As a high-earning third keeper or whatever, he would have been paid to sit on the bench. What a life.
It was so good for him. I was so happy that Chelsea can just set him up for the rest of his life, just like we've done so many other people.
Bought his holiday house for him, probably. Yeah. That's it. Yeah, mate, that's a good one. 210 career clean sheets. 109 caps for Australia, the most capped Australian. Pretty amazing career. The only one for me that stands out, and there's a lot of reasons to love him, but it could be the goal celebrations, it could be the goals themselves. But our boy Timmy Cahill.
Yeah, man, I'm so glad you said this.
Can't not look at him. He's actually scored less goals than I thought he would have. In 555 games, only 141 goals, 49 assists, but
the celebrations make up for it.
100%. And, he's got 50 international goals in 108 appearances. Like, that's a pretty awesome return.
That's decent. Yeah.
I'll never forget the volley against the Netherlands. That was
in South Africa World Cup?
I think so.
Brazil. That was in Brazil.
Brazil, yeah.
Oh my God. That was that a game that we watched in the Crowy together, the Crow's Nest Hotel?
Probably. I
remember watching that out and celebrating hard. Like,
it was a good, it was pretty
coming
amazing.
Down from the ceiling for the rest of the night.
It was so good. It was so good. The only thing I'd also just say as well, I didn't realize this, that Millwall got Cahill on a free transfer originally, and then Everton only paid $1.5 million for him.
Wow.
How good is the value for that? Like, the goals and the amount of appearances he made for them for $1.5 million back in 2004, but still, that's amazing.
Still, yeah.
Yeah, pretty incredible.
All right. Thanks for the question, Stubbs. Like that.
Yeah, great question, mate.
That actually, that threw back the years. Our next question comes from actually he plays fantasy football with us. He's in our league. Can't get away from it. Bobby Bantz. I did the post and he came through with a killer question, and I couldn't avoid asking you because you actually come into this question quite a bit.
I do.
What's a bigger disappointment? The second year that Bamford came into the game, or the second year for Mishu? So to our new fantasy players, Mishu, if you don't remember him, he was the golden child of Swansea. He had a killer year in fantasy where he scored like ridiculous, like way over 200. And I'm pretty sure you had both of these players, so I'm interested to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, I had the good year of Mishu and I had the bad year of Paddy B. So I might be a little bit biased, but what's really interesting when you look at the year where they absolutely killed it and then the year after, it's actually very comparable between the two of them.
Okay.
So Mishu in 13-14, he had 17 appearances, 2 goals, 2 assists.
Okay.
The whole season was played with injury. And Paddy B's season last year, which was his second year in the Prem, he had 11 appearances, 2 goals, 2 assists. So a few less games, but equal return in terms of goals and assists. And the years that they killed it, the seasons prior, Paddy B with 38 games, 17 goals, 8 assists. Mishu with 35 games, 18 goals and 3 assists.
Okay, all right.
So very similar, very similar.
After listening to those stats, you'd have to say that probably Paddy B, because look at all of those extra assists he's got. Like he's also creative, not just a goal scorer, and you're missing out on all of those assists.
Yeah. 1 less goal, but 3 assists. I think Mishu was a midfielder as well, maybe. So that might have been a slight difference there.
That's true.
But Mishu killed it. So Mishu had like a great season the year before in the Liga. Got about 16 goals, I think it was. Then came into the Prem, absolutely smashed it. And then the year after, just really kind of went on downhill. So that was a bit of an interesting one. But I think it's really hard to tell. It's very similar. I think the disappointment is Mishu, because then it never came back. We know the story. He's retired now. It never came back. He left Swansea, kind of was over-indexing for a shit team, and then he went back to Spain and retired. But Paddy B has such a brighter future. So,
all right, let's hope that Paddy B can get over all of these little niggles that he's been having, and he can get back to the form that he had a couple of years ago, because that was killer. I had him that year, and like I texted him every week on Instagram. Like, when he scored, I was like, thanks, bro. Like, thanks. I know you're doing it for me, like hoping to get a response. Never got one, but
one day.
Mate,
you got to show him that you still love him, even though he's not killing it. Maybe that's how you'll break through.
That's it. All right. I'll do that. Look, I'm really, really excited for this next question, because it comes from probably our longest listening fan. I think he was one of the first people that listened to our podcast, like way back a couple of years ago. And yeah, I posted that thing and he sent me 5 questions.
Oh, 5 questions. Let's go.
And they're just such an awesome set of questions. And I think the listeners are really going to like it. And they're a bit quick fiery, but there's
let's do it.
Ones. So first one, he goes, if you had to take a replay of one game to a proverbial desert island, which one would it be?
Oh, so the one game for the rest of your life kind of scenario.
You have to watch. And he actually like, I asked him to answer the questions because I was like, look, I want to know your answers as well. So for him, it's Brazil versus Germany in the 2014 World Cup where Germany beat them 7-1.
Oh, wow. That was a crazy game.
That was insane. I remember doing the ironing in the morning and like watching that being like, what?
Dude, that was mental. They just kept scoring. It was crazy.
Oh,
yeah, that was a mental game. Well, mate, the first one that comes to my mind is Liverpool 4, Barcelona 0.
Wow. Yeah, that leg.
Yeah, the Champions League comeback. Like, I will just sometimes just come across it on YouTube every now and again, and I'll just watch like the highlights and the goals or the aftermath celebrations. Like,
oh my God, Trent, that game.
Mate, it just stirred. And the fact that all the players that were missing, Salah wasn't playing.
Yeah, Origi with a brace.
Yeah, Origi with a goal, Genie with a brace.
Oh,
and then who got the other goal? I can't remember now. I'm blanking. But yeah, absolutely mental. How about you?
Got a goal or something. Mate, when I saw this question, I've been asked this question before in a similar way, and it's just got to be 2012 Champions League final.
Yeah.
Like, that game for Chelsea to beat Bayern in their backyard, and everything that happened. Like, I think Muller scored pretty late to go 1-0, and then Drogba scored that ridiculous header from a mat across from the corner and just finds the top bins. And it was insane because I remember I was in bed watching the game and I was a bit drowsy. And as soon as Muller scored, I was like, okay, that's game over. Yeah. And then Drog scores and I jump out of bed and I'm running around my house. And then a couple of minutes later, it seemed Drogba gives away that penalty and I'm like, oh my God. And Robin misses the penalty, Czech saves it. And then, we go to the penalty shootout and I think Schweinsteiger hit the post and Czech made 2 saves. So yeah, and Drogba just scoring that goal.
Yeah. Mate, classic. You can't not remember the ones that lead to wins or are a win.
Yeah.
Himself. But you were right as well. I just remember while you were talking that Origi did have a double in that game. So it's 2 doubles.
Yeah, he played so well, I remember. It actually
that corner.
Yeah, oh my God, that Trent, so clever. This one actually that question leads to the next one. He goes, right now, if you could add one player from your club's past when he was at his peak and swap him out, who would it be and who would you swap out? For him, he's a Spurs fan and he couldn't pick between peak Modric or peak Bale, and he'd swap Højbjerg and Sessegnon for them.
I'm surprised he's gone Højbjerg. I think Højbjerg's great.
He is pretty good, yeah. There could be a couple of other defensive midfielders that he could have got rid of maybe, but at the moment, maybe Højbjerg.
Yeah,
I don't know that
he went for Højbjerg. Yeah, but anyway, they're amazing peak players. They were just crazy.
Yeah, insane. What would it be for you with supporting Liverpool?
Well, the first one, it's kind of a bit of a cop-out, but it's got to be Stevie G.
Stevie G, really?
The fact that we're missing a midfielder right now, it's the only position that I really think we need for improvement. And imagine Stevie G, Thiago, and Fabinho.
Oh my God.
Stevie G would be a perfect Klopp player, add the goals as well as the hard-working midfielder.
He definitely would win a Premier League with that team.
Oh, 100%. He'd be game-changing. And that's easy. We can just get rid of some of our shit injured midfielders. The other one that came to mind, but it was really hard to pick who to drop, was Peak Suarez.
Peak Suarez, yeah. So do you reckon, actually, I'd like to ask you a question now. Do you think Peak Suarez was better than Peak Torres?
Yes.
Yeah?
I think he was. I think he did it. I don't actually have the stats in front of me, but I think he did it for more seasons.
Okay.
But they only had about 3 years each. So they're probably going to be pretty similar, but I just think Suarez he didn't need a good team around him. He did it all on his own. Whereas Torres had Gerrard basically playing as a 10 behind him.
Yeah.
I just think
Peak
Suarez.
Gerrard, yeah.
I love Torres. Like, he was like one of my first loves playing football.
Yeah.
I just got an absolute man crush on him. So it's very hard to answer. They're both different, but I think I have to pick Suarez. But I don't know how that would impact Mo and the other front three, but could you imagine him just fucking chasing people down in the press? And
oh my God.
it would just be mental. It'd be mental.
That'd be insane, yeah.
Yeah. So how about you? Who would you pick?
Look, I was umming and ahhing with two names for me. It was Peak Drogba. Like, I know we just mentioned him before, but for me, he's just such a GOAT. Some of the goals that he scored are so outrageous. So the audaciousness, even if that's a word, the things that he pulled off were absolutely insane. And I just don't think that there are many other strikers that could be better than him on his day.
To be fair, I think you have an easier job in this question too, because there's more replaceable names in your team.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that actually leads and then Eden Hazard, I think, for me, I've never seen someone control a ball as well as Hazard can control a ball, and his finesse, and, just his creativity, it's just blows me away. I love watching highlights of him. And for me, I would literally say replace anyone. I don't care if you replace our best player, which would probably be Sterling or something.
Either of the two of them would be amazing right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's a great question. I love that.
His third question, he wants to know if Potter makes Christmas. He reckons no.
Oh, wow. I would say yes. No way. I think this is a potential change in how we view Chelsea and ownership. I think people are like, oh, he won't last. He's going to get judged. They keep forgetting that you've got new owners. It's not the Roman. They've replaced everyone on the inside. It's a different system. I would be shocked if he's gone even this season, unless they fucking get relegated for some reason.
Yeah. For me, it's if they lose every game by Christmas, then maybe they might fire him. But no, I think that you're right.
This is the project. It's a project. They're not looking for a win this year.
It is. And, look, Graham Potter might be the next Alex Ferguson. You never know.
Who knows, mate? Who knows? He's got a lot of people speak very highly of him.
Hey, so the next question, as a Liverpool fan, he wants to know, does Salah score more or less than 15 goals this season? For him, he thinks less.
Less. It's a tough number, that. So this time last year, after 6 fixtures, he already had 5 goals. So I don't think the slow start's necessarily going to do him any hindrance. And in the season before that, he had 6 goals after 5 games, which is pretty crazy.
And he's just got 1 so far?
Yeah, I think it's just 1 in the Prem. Let me have a quick look.
I think it's 1 and about 4 assists, if I remember correctly.
So 2 goals,
2 goals.
2 assists, apparently.
Oh, really?
Oh, no, sorry. Yeah, 2 goals, 2 assists.
Okay.
So, yeah, I think it's hard because I've got to have hope because he's my boy. I just don't think he drops off that bad. We looked a lot better in the Champions League game this morning. I don't know if we'll hit crazy intensity and heights we did last year, but 15 goals.
I think it's doable. All he's got to do is score a brace and a hattie, and that's 5 of them.
Yeah, and we still got so many games to go. It's actually 2 goals, 3 assists. I think he'll get 15. He needs 13 more. He can do that.
For sure. It's Salah.
Yeah, he'll definitely do it.
I think it will come after like 1 million owners drop him in the budget game.
Yeah. Everyone's probably dropping him like.
Which brings me to his final question. And it was like he was challenging us, and he goes, is it possible to construct a team in budget FPL that could perhaps do okay for 50 million or less? And I'm going to answer this if you don't mind me, Peter.
Go for it.
I'll say, we don't talk about budget on this podcast. We're a draft podcast.
Damn right, Marlo. Damn right.
Yeah. So that question can get fucked. And let's just move on from Richard. But thanks for the questions.
Yeah, they're so good, Richard. Thank you, mate. Well, let me jump in, mate, and ask you one. This one you sent me.
Okay.
So Jose D reached out to us. He was asking, is Sergio Gomez a good option? He covers both right back and left back for City. Is he an option as a pickup?
Yeah, I've been thinking about this, and I think that if you're in those deeper leagues and you've just holding on to, maybe one or two pretty dodgy defenders, and you've got enough mids and forwards to cover you, if he's available, he could be a pickup. Especially Walker has got a little bit of a niggle at the moment. He's been out for a couple of game weeks. And I know he is getting on a bit, and, Pep might just want to play like Cancelo and Gomez. Like that might be his long-term goal. And, you might get rewarded if you have a spare spot and can hold him, because I don't think it's going to happen overnight.
No, you'd have to have a very deep league for me to hold him, because we saw how little game time Zinchenko got, and he's probably a lot more proven and older than Sergio Gomez, who's quite young still.
But I did have a quick look, and he made 40 appearances last year and he scored 6 goals. So for a defender, 6 goals is actually not too bad. And he's probably going to come to a team where they hold the ball a lot more than where he was at. And they're kind of deeper players, especially on the wings, are actually going to get forward a lot more. So I'm actually quite, if you're in a 10-man league, Jose, I would try and maybe do it. If you've got someone to drop and you can just see how the next 10 weeks go with him, why not?
Yeah, that's fair. Very fair. Let's do the next one, mate. What's the next question?
Next question's actually from Southie. So
Southie.
Southie. Now, for people that don't know, Southie got in contact with us pre-season, couldn't do her draft, so I volunteered to do the draft for her, and we're keeping you updated with how she's going with the progress. And she just said, she ended up with Aubameyang in the waiver wire because the team that I drafted for her, it hasn't performed fantastically so far. She's got a couple of wins on the trot, but she just wants to know, was it a good idea? I think she wants a bit of reassurance. She dropped Adams for him.
I think that's fair. Obviously, there's a lot of uncertainty around Potter coming in and what he's going to do with his forwards, but I think you have to take that punt with him available. Because if he does play, he's going to be very likely decent.
Yeah, if he gets the minutes, we've seen how lethal Aubameyang can be.
And we spoke about in our last pod how he had some really good stats from last year, so he's not out of form or anything. And Adams, he came on and got that double 4 game weeks ago, and he's played the last 3 games. But man, Southampton just don't score a lot of goals. I think it's worth the risk regardless of how many more Che Adams could get.
Me too. And I agree with that. I think there's nothing more to say on that. And it actually brings us to our next question from Jimmy Weggs, actually. I've been talking to Jimmy a bit online, been helping him with his team and, just chatting. Sometimes helping someone with their team is just talking about it.
Yeah.
And he saw our Instagram post about Diego Costa coming back to the Prem.
Yeah.
As a Chelsea fan, it kind of gives me tingles. Yeah.
I know, tingles of, reminiscent of that crazy season he had.
Yeah.
He was cooked for 3 years. He scored 20 goals, 12 goals and 20 goals. It was mental at Chelsea.
it is really good return, especially when we have struggled with that striker position since, Drogba left and stuff. So he wants to know, is Diego Costa a pickup? And his strikers at the moment are Aubameyang, Jota, and Wilson.
Oh, no way, mate. No way.
No.
To be honest, I'm going to say no way on Diego Costa. Full stop. Since he left Chelsea, he was dog shit at Atletico Madrid. He was dog shit at Atletico Mineiro and whatever the hell that is.
In Brazil.
And then he was in Serie A. He must have been on loan or something. Scored 4 goals in 15 games. Like, I don't know. Like, can't be written off completely, but fuck, you'd have to have no striker options. You'd be a deep league to take the punt. Like, no way would I recommend for Jimmy to drop any of those 3.
Yeah, and the only thing I'll say is it looks like he's towards the bottom of his league because he's been able to pick up Aubameyang. So he might, be building a team at the moment, and you still might have one of the first waiver wires coming up. So what I'd probably say is let's just hold off, see if he gets some starts, see if he gets a goal, and just keep an eye on Wilson because Wilson's made of glass. He's been injured so much of the last 2 years.
Yeah.
And with Isak coming in and looking really good, I do fear for Wilson's minutes. So it might be one just to keep an eye on to make that trade in the next couple of weeks if there's reason to do so.
Yeah, I think that's a good shout.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good one. Good question. Thanks, Jimmy.
And I think I sent you one from the Banter Boys, actually.
You did.
Get that? Yeah.
Yeah, I saw that one. So they were asking, given the blank game week for some teams this coming week, what assets can you risk dropping, especially for head-to-head players? So obviously there's a lot of consideration going who you up against to win that particular head-to-head. It's a tough dilemma.
This is actually a really, really tough question. And I did ask him to send me his team. So I could kind of, make suggestions with that, but I haven't got that yet. But I thought the way we could answer this question were which teams have a bye this week? So we know that Chelsea and Liverpool have byes.
Yeah. So we've got Chelsea, Liverpool, we've got Brighton, United, Leeds, and Palace.
So my theory is not many people have Palace assets. And if you have Palace assets besides from, say, Eze and Zaha, you could probably punt all the other ones and just pick up, some playing players in good form just to win your head-to-head matches. I think United assets, I think that there's only really, probably 4 that I'd really want right now, which would be Rashford, Sancho, Anthony, and Fernandes.
Yeah.
I think you could probably punt all the other ones besides keeping Dalot. I think Dalot could be a nice attacking defender for the year. So
because they've also got City in their next game, so you're gonna be able to keep them out for 2 fixtures.
Yeah. But then the other 4 teams for me, like all of the actual assets, like even with Brighton, like McAllister and, Gross, Trossard, like you're just not dropping any of them. And Brighton's defense still can be a pickup. So
yeah, I think you've got to wait and see what happens with the effect of Potter leaving. I'd want to wait and hold. They do have tough fixtures with Liverpool and Spurs after the blank week. Yeah. So if you've got someone who's a bit average, like you've got that midfielder, it's like Caicedo or however you say it.
Caicedo,
If you've got like a weak asset or your defenders are just absolutely cooked and you've got one of them and there's a few others that are on the waiver, so you can pick them back up later. I think you could maybe make a move, and now that they've lost this fixture against Palace, maybe drop a defender if there's an option to get them again. But yes, you're not going to drop Trossard or McAllister just yet.
Yeah.
I think you just got to take the hit. You might just lose this week, but you can't sacrifice long-term just especially if you're going to lose them on the waiver next week.
Yeah. And if you're playing overall, not head-to-head, I don't think that you can drop any strong assets at all. I think that long-term game is pretty much favored in this scenario.
100%. 100%. So that's the second part to that question too. They asked, which injured assets can we start stacking given the international breaks coming?
I love doing this. Like, I feel like I've done this for the last couple of seasons quite well with I think I picked up like an Iniacho just before he came back. And then he went on fire. And yeah, I really love looking at this. So at the moment, I think we did a little bit of digging for this one, and we can see that Wilson's injured, Bamford for the strikers, and DCL's about to come back as well, and he probably wouldn't be in many teams.
Yeah.
So they all could be options if you've got room in your team and players that you can drop. Mm-hmm. And did you find any other ones?
Yeah, so there's also Bruno Guimaraes coming back from injury soon. We still got the injury weight note on him, but that could be one to keep an eye out for. The other interesting one that I saw was Brooks from Bournemouth.
Oh, I remember when he first came to the Prem. I actually had him and he was all right. Yeah,
they're not doing too great, obviously, Bournemouth, but obviously it's hard when we look at just all the injured players. Like, it's a bit tricky to know who's going to be free. But he's just lacking match fitness apparently at the moment. So we might see him come back in a few weeks, and they've got a decent run of fixtures coming up: Brentford, Leicester, Fulham, Southampton.
It's an interesting one. I like that.
Yeah. It's a big shout, but it
is a big shout. But
if you're in a very deep league, you never know.
You do. That's true. Hey, before we leave this, I just want to make a quick little side note. We had our waiver wire last Friday, and I got to say it cracked me up when, because I really wanted to pick up Mount because the Mount owner had dropped him.
I couldn't believe that.
I know. I was so surprised. Like, I don't know where it came from, but I didn't know if anyone had seen it because he did it in the free agent pool, not in the wire the week before. And anyway, like, someone picked him up ahead of me, and I ended up getting Rodrigo because Whitey dropped him. He thought that the thing was a bit long-term. And I think this, with the injured asset, it's just such an interesting conversation because some Rodrigo owners might have dropped him.
Yeah, well, it's meant to be due back soon, so we never know.
This whole thing with the Queen passing away and all of these delays, he's not going to really miss many games that it was originally thought. So if he can keep the fire that he had, I think Whitey's going to be pretty devo.
Yeah, I know. He definitely is. And it's going to be funny to watch.
It's going to be so funny. All right, let's move on from that. I really like this question. I did send it to you because I wanted for you to start thinking about it before tonight. And it's from Marco D. And he just wants to know, what have been some of the random draft picks in your league throughout the years?
Oh, wow. Well, we reference a couple of them quite often.
We do.
Probably main one we reference all the time is Berahino in the third.
That was so crazy when Whitey did it, because I remember when he came to that decision that he was picking him up, he said it so confidently, like it was the greatest pickup, and everyone just looked at him and just like cracked up. And I think that year he scored like 2 goals like late in the season.
Yeah, it was the worst, probably the worst pickup we've ever seen.
Do you reckon it was the worst?
Just because like there was not even like a level of, it could be okay.
Yeah, okay.
Just because like there was no chance it was going to be good. That's why I say that.
Yeah, I feel you. A couple of years ago, we had Dallas in the third when the year after he came on fire when he was a defender but playing in the mid.
Yeah.
And then someone, made that mistake of not knowing that the reason why he went so well was because he was a defender.
Yeah.
I think Bamford. So Bamford in the first. It was.
Yeah, guilty.
I think it was. Yeah, that was you. And I want to defend you a little bit, even though I love giving you shit for it. It's like it had the potential to be amazing. And it was quite unfortunate that he got injured and things like that. And Leeds just played so well. And I know that you were last to pick and you just wanted a top striker, and he looked like he could have been.
Yeah, it was just that risk. It was only one season of form to go off, but you never know. There was a level of risk there, and unfortunately didn't pay off with the injury. But
yeah,
I dug up a few other ones that were quite funny.
Tell me.
So in 2020 and 21-22, Greenwood got drafted.
Wow.
Controversial name now.
Yeah, I shouldn't say that. I wanted to defame him.
So in 2020, 2021, he got drafted in the 4th round.
Wow. Like, had he really performed the year before? Did he just have a fire end to the season or something?
He must have. I can't remember exactly like how. I remember there was a stage where he had like a really awesome last few weeks.
Yeah.
And
actually, you know what it was? It was the preseason.
Oh, the preseason.
I think I remember him scoring like 7 or 8 goals or something, and everyone was going like nuts for him.
Yeah, there was a lot of hype, but to go 4th round, that's pretty cooked.
Yeah,
that was mental. And then the year after, he went in the 6th round. So I don't know where the hell that came from, but
yeah, crazy.
That was pretty mental.
Okay.
Were there any others that you found?
Actually, just from memory, I can't remember. I think it was around probably the year before that, like 1920 or something. I think because he's a massive Chelsea fan, and he picked up Pulisic in the 2nd, and then I think he picks up Batshuayi in the 4th.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
It must have been Pooley's first season.
Yeah, he must have just been bought, and like he was like, "Oh, Captain America's here to like save the day."
With his shield and here we go.
Michy Batshuayi.
Wow, that's a blunder if I've ever seen one.
Yeah. All right, let's move on from that. So on to our final question. It's from Aaron. Everyone knows Aaron on this pod if they've been listening this year. He's got a wicked team, but he goes, in his league, they currently have first place that wins $200. Second gets their money back, and last has to buy a pub feed for the boys. What extra prizes or punishment can you put in place to spice it up a bit? And look, just before I hear your answer, I'll just have to say, I think we are the absolute worst at this. All we do is we have like $100 entry and winner takes all. It's just brutal. Like if you win like $700. So we don't do anything else, which we have.
Loser gets a toilet seat trophy.
Oh, that's right. Loser does get the.
Yeah, we just haven't seen it in a while because the same guy keeps winning it. But
yeah, that's right. So I forgot about the toilet seat. Yeah, the same guy.
So we engraved a toilet seat. We put a terrible toy poo on it, and it's a wooden seat from Bunnings.
And we do have a trophy that's like the size of like a massive TV with our names engraved on it, which actually I should post up to our socials. So yeah, I'll post up the trophy so you guys
we'll get a photo of the toilet seat too if our owner can dig it out from storage or wherever the hell it is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Have you thought about any of this?
Yeah, I've actually seen a bit of content lately, which is perfect timing for this. I think first off, Aaron, you got to up the money. That's not enough money. I want more than $200 if I win.
Yeah.
You got to up the buy-in.
For sure. Like, because it's a whole year, it's 9 months.
Yeah, 9 months. I do like the buying the boys a pub feed. I love that. I saw a similar one for an NFL fantasy league where the winner gets a green jacket. So like you do in golf.
Like the Masters?
Like the Masters. And you also have a celebratory meal for the winner. So he gets to wear his jacket and look all like spick. And
bro, I think that's just like the Masters. They do that.
Yeah, they must have got it from the golfing world. I think we need to do that. We need to celebrate the winner more.
Yeah,
I like that. But also the funny thing they do at that dinner is the loser in the year had to go and get a calendar made with themselves in the calendar. So, and they have to present it to everyone and give everyone a copy. So it was like just flip through of all the months with this person in it when they lost.
Dude, that's so good.
I think that's a hilarious punishment because it's like doable. It's not like too mental. You know, we love the mental ones, but
yeah. And it'd be perfect just to like chuck up in your laundry or just somewhere random that, you know, it's not going to get in the way and just be like a hilarious picture every month.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. Like my brother's league, actually, he plays in a league with his mates, and instead of money, they just buy the winner the jersey of their key player for that year.
Right.
So they actually get the jersey of their like Kane or Salah or whoever they had.
Yeah.
Which I think that's kind of cool too.
Oh, right. So even if it's a team that you don't support.
Yeah, it's just like who is your fantasy like MVP?
That's pretty sick because like, I mean, I'm a Chelsea fan, but I do respect, you know, like just good players and stuff. Like I would,
and you get attached to your fantasy guys, so you can find a way to love them, even though you might not support them.
I know, because don't you reckon that sometimes there's just a fine line between supporting your club and supporting your fantasy team?
Oh, 100%, dude. It's a conundrum all the time.
Oh, it gets brutal sometimes, eh? Like when your FPL player scores against your team. Like you kind of like look around the room and you're like borderline kind of fist bumping inside, but
it's the weirdest feeling ever. You're just completely conflicted.
Yeah.
Yeah. How about yourself, mate? Is there anything you can think of?
Man, it just actually makes me feel really disappointed that we don't have like a couple of these fun things. Like the toilet seat is so lame because whoever wins it just gets it and just puts it in their cupboard. Like I would love to think about adding some of these to our league. But I do actually really love the pub dinner, Aaron. I reckon that's cool because at the end of the day, you know, we all play FPL and it's for that social interaction as well. You know, it's about, you know, building a team, trying to beat your mates and have something to talk about, you know, whether it's, you know, at golf on Sunday morning or like at the pub during the week. So yeah, I really like even just that celebratory meal for the winner that you saw online.
Yeah, I like that. I think we should do that too.
Yeah, I like it.
Present the trophy and make it a big deal. This fantasy group as well, they fucking flew to like some resort. It was mental.
Wow. Okay.
They like flew to a resort and had a weekend away with the boys. That was pretty OG. But relegation's a big topic. People have relegation. We've heard a few listeners bring it up this year that they relegate people from their league.
Yeah.
But I think just like, definitely leaning into some spicy things for the loser to do. That's depends how savage your group of friends are on what you think they will actually pull through and do. But I've seen some fun things.
Didn't last year we have someone write in about like they get a tattoo or something? The loser has to get a tattoo. Do you remember that?
It sounds roughly familiar, but fuck, it's crazy if it is.
Yeah, I'll have to dig that out and I'll announce it on the next pod. But it was something really brutal. I was like, are you kidding me? Like,
that was mental. That was crazy to do, man. But yeah, there's so many fun things you can do, whether it's just like, them having to dress up like an idiot or do a challenge or be like the beer bitch for the draft the next day. Like next year, they have to like serve everyone drinks or I think this whole league for us was inspired by the league TV show from the American football team, and they were fucking mental on that show, and they always absolutely rinsed the loser, the Sacco, from the year before. So if you need some inspiration, I would recommend watching the league TV show if you haven't seen it.
I agree. And the final thing I'd like just to finish up on is I was talking to your brother. You just reminded me when you were talking, and I'm not sure if he's told you, but they've made a new rule this season. So it's actually I don't know if you've heard about it, but it's to spice it up a bit. So they're doing a redraft come January.
Oh, wow.
Have you heard this?
That's crazy.
So basically they're, sorry, I just got a message, but just real quick, they're doing a redraft in January and switching teams. And they're going to add the points on. So, okay, I've just lost Hito. He's dropped out. That's who messaged me before. His battery dropped out, but thanks everyone for listening. I hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you